Y'all, I'm about 2 years into my empty nester journey, and I am realizing that we do not talk about this stage of life nearly enough. We spend so much time planning for and talking about having kids and raising kids and schools and parenting and all of that really good stuff. And we also spend a good amount of time talking about retirement. I heard from a very young age about the need and importance of saving for retirement and compound interest and all of these things. But y'all, empty nesthood starts like end of 40s, early 50s. That's still really young. 20 years ago, did I think this was young? No, but now that I'm here, this is young. And I don't know about you, but I'm not like gonna retire in a couple of years. So we're spending around 20 years as empty nesters before we even retire. I think we need to be talking about this more. And there's a lot of emotions that come along with being an empty nester. I will just speak from my own experience, but I have talked also with a lot of people and I've been reading up on the stages of life as well. And I think there's definite grief and there's different types of grief involved. I just saw a mom friend of mine post about the difference in her feelings between dropping her kids off at college and then moving her oldest daughter into her first apartment to probably never come and live at home again. That is a different level of grief. And I just did that recently. I moved Jackson into his own apartment and I felt so much pride, but also embracing that they're not in the in-between anymore. College is kind of the in-between. It's kind of like this long launch pad. But once they're out in the world and they're earning their income and they're living in their own apartment, they have launched into adulthood. And that is a huge deal. Not only is it the end of an era, but it's a completely new and very exciting beginning of a new era for them and then for our relationship with them as well. But that doesn't mean that we don't also feel lonely. We feel sad. I think about my son as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, and I miss that little boy. And that is just our reality. That is something that we as parents live with that nobody freaking tells us about. We're having kids because we're like in the mess and the muck of the infancy and the toddlerhood. And we don't think about how those itty bitties are just only here for a short amount of time and that there's no take backs. I don't know about you, but I think back to parenting mistakes that I made and I can't go back and change it. And I do think there's definitely something to waiting until you're a bit more mature to have children, right? But there's no take backs. Can't go back in time and change anything. And that can be hard to live with as well, unless maybe you're a perfect parent. Probably not though. Anyway, there's a lot of emotion, I think, in this period of time. And also, we have this amazing opportunity to redesign our lives. And typically in this time period, we have more resources than we did 20 years ago, more financial resources. And if we're not supporting several mouths to feed at home, then we might have freed up. We get to choose what are we going to do with that extra, which is really an incredible position to be in. How lucky are we to get to have choices, to think about what do I really want, and then begin to add things into our lives, maybe even take some things out of our lives that just don't work for us anymore, just unnecessary. I'm going to be just doing more around this whole empty nester stage. I'm going to be doing more socializing with other empty nesters. It sounds old. I really want to say bird launchers like my friend Elise recommended, but I'm afraid nobody will know what I'm talking about. So let me know if you have a great idea for a new name that maybe we can use, or maybe we'll just use bird launchers. But I'm excited personally. Like, I'm kind of loving this. I'm full of emotion. I am literally sometimes on the happy train and sometimes I'm on the sad memory train, wishing for what once was. But for the most part, I'm embracing the newness. I'm embracing this opportunity to get to design my new life with Andrew, Where do we want to live? Who do we want to spend time with? What new hobbies do we want to bring into our lives? What sports do we want to play? What games do we want to learn? It's just things like that. And I invite you to come along on the journey with me.